Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Ash, and I am here with a review of Varney Lake on Xbox. Now, this was released for the Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S on the 28th of April 2023. Now, it's developed by LCB Game Studio and it's published by Chorus Worldwide Games. And we were lucky enough to be sent a copy to do this review, so big thank you for that. Now, we've recently covered one of LCB's previous games, which was Mothman 1966, and you can find that on the channel. Have a look. It's a very interesting, quite enjoyable visual novel with an old school retro aesthetic and feel to it. Now, this is their new game, Varney Lake. It's set in the same narrative universe, so this game, while being its own separate story, is connected in the same universe as Mothman. Now, if you've played Mothman 1966, you're going to know exactly what you're going to get here. It's a old school sort of visual novel with text to narrate the story, as well as sort of old school minimalistic animation that very much reminds me of like old school sort of computer games. And they all have like a sort of creepy atmosphere. There's mysteries going on, all that sort of stuff. So the first one was obviously about these like Batmen that were sort of attacking people and stuff like that. Now this one is set over two different time periods. So it first centres on this group of friends in the 1950s, and basically they live at Varney Lake, and they basically have this like sort of triangle friendship. One of them likes one of them, but she's got a boyfriend and all that sort of stuff. It's very much like what teenage life is like. Then, as the story progresses, they end up helping a old man they find in this like worn down like shack building, and basically the twist is that he's a vampire. Now, I don't want to spoil the story too much because obviously the story is the main sort of bit of meat in this game. That's what you come in here to play, is the sort of story and the atmosphere. But then the story does jump to 1980s, and basically the character of Jimmy is now obviously older, and he's being interviewed by a investigator. Now this investigator was in Mothman, so you've already got this connection to both games. It's sort of linking them in that sense with just odd characters here and there. Now this interviewer is obviously talking to him about obviously these events in the 50s and basically what happened with this vampire. Now, I'll not explain what's going on, but obviously stuff goes down and you're basically recanting like what happens once you've met this vampire and how it progresses. Now, the writing in the game is fantastic, as always. Like I say, I think they've done a great job. Lots and lots of dialogue between the characters. Even without voice acting, it's extremely well written and it's a pleasure to read through. Now, you do have the ability to obviously set it to autoplay, which I normally do in these type of games. When I am not making a decision, I'll stick it on autoplay, let it play a bit until I have to decision, and just sort of read along with it instead of having to keep pressing my button to like progress. And there's also a skip option as well if you decide to replay the game. Now, as well as obviously just playing through as a visual novel, there are other things to do in this game. Like the original one, there are like odd mini games thrown in as the story progresses. Like I say, at the beginning of the game, you're playing cards. There's like a card game to play. There's a fishing mini game as well later on, and it's all really fun. It's not the hardest or anything like that, but it just breaks up the story a little bit, gives you a little bit more to do than just basically reading and choosing options. Now, there are all sorts of decisions to be made through the story. Like I say, you get to pick and choose your responses at times and what you want to interact with at times. And sometimes this leads to horrible deaths, but you just have to get back in, replay from where you were up to, and try and not die, basically. Now, I find this game really great. I do play a lot of visual novels. I love the aesthetic and the sort of X-Files like sci-fi weirdness to these games, and I'm really looking forward to more in the series, because I do know that I'm sure they said they were making multiples. So it's that if you've played the first one and love it, this one is just as good. You're going to enjoy it just as much. It's got everything that you've come to know and love. There's not a lot of improvements that I could tell you off the top of my head from between them, but it's that case of if it's not broke, don't fix it. It's just a brand new story covering, obviously, like vampires this time over the sort of Mothman character in the last one. So check it out. It's available right now. Like I say, it's playable on the Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S. It's priced at £8.49, and it's also not the most difficult of achievements out there. The 1000 gamer score. You may have to play through it multiple times if you miss anything. But overall, it like I say, if you were using a guide, you could easily speed through it once you know what you're doing. But it's just enjoyable playing through it. Like I say, there's not a whole host of things you've got to worry about. A lot of the stuff is linked to the mini games as well. So give it a go, play through it once, and then maybe play through it with a guide the second time to just mop up the achievements. But I had a great time, and I'm looking forward to more from this developer. But that's that for this video, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and we'll see you soon for more gaming content. Bye for now.